What if Jesus walked into your town right now and you didn't even recognize him? Not robed in glory, not trailed by angels, just a quiet man with calloused hands, a soft voice, and piercing eyes that see straight into your soul. Would you listen? Would you care? Or would you reject him like the world did once before? In Joseph F. Girzone's remarkable novel Joshua, A Parable for Today, Jesus returns, not as a powerful king, but as a humble woodcarver who gently transforms a town that didn't even know it was lost. This story, which became a movie in 2002, isn't just fiction, it's a reflection of the divine heartbeat, the relentless love of God, especially for sinners. And in a world that's more fractured and faithless than ever, Joshua might be the wake-up call we need. Like this video and comment, "I'm awake," if you believe love can still change the world. So let's take the journey. He arrived without a pulpit, no entourage, no credentials, just a man named Joshua, a carpenter, a stranger, but not for long. He moves into an old barn in a small town, unnoticed at first, and begins fixing up a fire-damaged Baptist church. No fanfare, no fundraising, just action, quiet, steady action. But Joshua's work goes beyond wood and nails. He's building bridges, between neighbors, between faiths, between people and God. His message is simple yet earth-shaking. Love. Not the shallow kind splashed across social media, but a gritty, uncomfortable love that forgives the unforgivable and seeks out the undeserving. He teaches without preaching, helps without boasting, listens without judgment. Strangers become neighbors, rivals share pews. A town begins to heal, no revival tents, no sermons, just love in motion. Girzone, a retired priest, wrote Joshua, which later became a movie in 2002, to show Jesus as approachable, not distant. In 2025, when churches are losing ground, Joshua's quiet compassion echoes a truth we've forgotten. God doesn't scream over chaos. He whispers in love, and that's just the beginning. Most people saw a burned church. Joshua saw an opportunity. The church wasn't just a building, it was a symbol of division, scarred by a fire that mirrored the town's spiritual drought. Denominations had drawn hard lines. Baptists against Catholics, Methodists against agnostics. Suspicion filled the pews. But Joshua's hammer swung across those boundaries. He invited everyone to help rebuild. Catholic, Baptist, skeptic, it didn't matter. They came side by side, nail by nail. As they worked, something sacred emerged. Walls of bitterness crumbled. Conversations replaced cold stares. Girzone's story reflects a historical truth. Early churches were often divided by doctrine, yet Jesus united through love. John 17:21. In 2025, with church attendance plummeting, Joshua's approach feels radical. It wasn't a traditional revival, no emotional altar calls, no televangelist theatrics, just love in action, mending more than roofs. Could our churches today need less flash and more faithfulness? Fewer debates and more presence. The carpenter's call is clear, but the restoration goes deeper. Joshua doesn't announce miracles, he doesn't claim titles, but things happen around him that defy logic. A blind man regains sight after Joshua's gentle touch. A broken family reconciles over a shared meal he hosts. A storm veers away just before it floods the town. Coincidence or divine intervention? The townsfolk whisper, "Who is this man?" Some call it grace, others luck. But those touched by Joshua feel heaven breaking through the smog of everyday life. In 2025, X posts buzz with stories of quiet miracles, unexplained healings, communities uniting after disasters. Girzone's novel taps into this hope. God hasn't stopped moving. Miracles don't need camera crews or viral hashtags. When a hardened heart softens or hate dissolves, isn't that the greatest miracle? Joshua reminds us to look for God in the subtle, the personal, the undeniable. But carrying such light draws shadows, and not everyone welcomes it. Not everyone trusts Joshua. Father Tordone, a rigid Catholic priest, senses a threat, not violence but disruption. Joshua embodies Christ's love more than any catechism, and that's the problem. Tordone's authority is questioned, his rules bypassed, his traditions ignored. To him, Joshua is dangerous, not because he's wrong, but because he's right. His kindness exposes legalism, pride, hypocrisy. Girzone faced similar critiques. Some traditionalists called Joshua too liberal for downplaying doctrine. In 2025, churches face the same tension. Megachurch scandals and woke debates spark distrust. Joshua doesn't attack religion, his humility speaks louder than dogma. This mirrors Jesus' clashes with the Pharisees, who clung to the letter while missing the spirit. Matthew 23. Would our churches recognize Jesus today or label him a heretic for not fitting the mold? The clash reveals a truth we can't ignore, and it's about to get personal. Here's the heart of Joshua. He didn't come for the righteous. He came for the drunks, the bitter, the broken, the woman haunted by shame, the man trapped in secret sin, the outcast the church forgot. Girzone wrote Joshua to show God's pursuit of sinners, inspired by Romans 5:8. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us, not after we cleaned up, while we were still a mess. Joshua sits with the hurting, listens to their pain, speaks life into their wounds. That's the scandal of grace. God doesn't tolerate sinners. He runs toward them. In 2025, with spiritual but not religious trends rising, this message cuts through. Joshua's love comforts the desperate but shocks the self-righteous. If Jesus walked into your life, would you hide your flaws or let him hold them? That's God's love. It shows up, especially when you're hiding. But there's another layer to this grace. Religion loves rules. Some guide us, others just weigh us down. When rules replace relationship, faith grows cold. Joshua doesn't quote doctrine or flash theological credentials, yet people call him Christ-like. Why? Because love, selfless, real love, is the highest theology. Jesus said in John 13:35, "By this all will know you are my disciples, if you love one another." Not if you tithe or vote a certain way, just love. Joshua frustrates rule keepers, not to rebel, but to redeem. Legalism says, follow the rules, then you're loved. God says, you're loved, now follow me. This reversal baffled the Pharisees and still challenges churches in 2025, where debates over doctrine often drown out compassion. Joshua's mold-breaking love saves, showing us a better way. But how does this message resonate in our chaotic world? In 2025, the world feels more divided than ever. Politics, culture, even faith. Churches struggle to stay relevant as attendance drops and skepticism grows. Girzone's Joshua speaks directly to this fracture. Joshua unites a town not through sermons but through presence, listening, helping, loving. Today, ex-posts lament church hypocrisy and praise grassroots ministries that mirrored Joshua's approach. His sequels, like Joshua in the Holy Land, show him fostering peace amid conflict, a timely lesson as Middle East tensions flare. The novel's legacy challenges us to bridge divides, Catholic with Protestant, believer with skeptic. In a culture quick to cancel, Joshua's love builds unlikely friendships. Are we too entrenched to try? Girzone's vision reminds us God's love doesn't pick sides, it picks people. And that vision calls us to act. Joshua's story isn't just a parable, it's a blueprint. He shows us how to love radically in a world that thrives on hate. Invite the outcast to dinner, forgive the unforgivable, listen to the angry without arguing. Girzone's novels urge us to live this love daily, not just in church. In 2025, small acts of kindness, helping a neighbor, reconciling a feud, echo Joshua's impact. The Bible backs this. Micah 6:8 calls us to act justly, love mercy, walk humbly. What if you became the Joshua in your town? Your workplace, your family? That's the challenge. Love like Jesus even when it's messy. The world's watching. Not for perfect doctrine, but for authentic love. Will you answer the call? God's already equipped you. Joshua came and went like a whisper, no throne, just footprints of peace. But his revelation echoes. God's love isn't for the perfect, it's for the bruised, the burned out, the sinners. You. Joshua isn't just a novel, it's a mirror, a question. If Jesus walked into your town, would you recognize him? Would your church welcome him or lock the doors? God's love is chasing you, not to condemn, but to redeem. All he needs is your yes. Drop "I believe in grace" in the comments. Smash that like button, subscribe for more eye-opening truths, and share this with someone who needs to know it's never too late to come home. Cheers!